Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to be introducing the concept of air traffic flow management and talking a little bit more in depth about the flight plan. So as you can see here, we have a somehow formal definition by ICAO, which states that the flow management is a service established with the objective of contributing to a safe, orderly, and expeditious flow of air traffic, and this is important, and I'm going to remark it, the flow of air traffic, by ensuring that the ATC, the air traffic control capacity, is utilized to the maximum extent possible, and that the air traffic volume is compatible with the capacity declared by the appropriate ATS authority. So here we have many concepts that we're going to be talking about through this video and further videos. So here we have, so to talk, or so to speak, the main goal of ATFM is to balance, right? To balance capacity and demand. What is demand and what is capacity? We will talk about it. But we have capacity, ATC capacity, right? And the flow of air traffic is the demand, or constitutes the demand. Now, if possible, we're gonna do this minimizing the delays in the network, right? Trying to meet as much as possible the desires or the intentions of the airlines, what they want to flight, but at the same time we need to somehow satisfy the capacity or not to compromise the safety of the system. And in the end, the one that is in the end supervising the monitoring traffic is the air traffic controller, right? That's why we talk about ATC capacity. Well, when it comes to demand is determined by the airspace user, right, which is the flight, right, the flight that we have in the airspace. And here we need to talk about flight plans, right? Because you should know that air traffic flow management is a service that does some predictions, right? So it works with intentions, flight intentions. It works with the flight plan. The flight plan is not the realization. It's not what the aircraft is doing actually. Is what the aircraft intends to do, right? So we're going to be working with flight plans, and recall that the flight plan is specified information provided to air traffic services, containing some information about the flight or a portion of the flight, right? The route, altitude, the speed, and so on and so forth. We have already talked about it, but you should know that a flight plan is we use this acronym FPL as for flight plan. But in again ICAO Annex 2, we have different types of flight plans, because the flow management is some sort of continuous process that starts months before the day of the operation and ends right 1 hour before taking off. We need to consider different types of flight plans with different type of information. So we have something called repetitive flight plan, right? Repetitive. And this has to do with a flight plan that is related to a series of of regular flights, right? Imagine we are Iberia airline and we want to operate a destination, I don't know, Madrid, Berlin, every weekday, Monday to Friday at 9 a.m. We have got that slot. We can always file, or we can always produce a repetitive flight plan, which you should know that this flight plan is going to contain the intention in terms of route. We intend to fly always the same route. We intend to fly always the same flight level. and speed, cruising speed. We have information on our aircraft, and we know what is our preferred speed, right? But this is something that has a lot of uncertainty. We have no idea about the operational runway, so we don't know which standard departure or standard arrival we're gonna be using. So the repetitive flight plan will consist of a point at the end of the seat to a point at the beginning of the standard arrival procedure. You will see these two guys later during the course, and we don't have information about the atmosphere, winds, nor even passengers, so we cannot calculate the fuel. So it's an estimation, a prediction, an intention that we can use somehow at flow management level to do some calculations and to start taking some measurements and identifying hotspots. We will see this. That's one thing. Then we have the so-called filed flight plan, which is the final flight plan that has been submitted to the air traffic service unit authority, right? We can send, and you will see this, that we will be sending and updating the flight plan as many times as desired, but there is a moment in which we are forced to submit our final flight plan, which is not to be modified anymore in terms of flight plan. Okay, of course, during the flight, during the execution, we're going to be tackling uncertainties and we're going to be subject to modifications of the flight, but this is not anymore the flight plan, right? So this is the file flight plan is the last flight plan sent to or filed to the authorities, and then we have the current flight plan. Well, I didn't mention, but in the file flight plan, we do this 1-2 hours before departure. The flight dispatcher or even the captain on board the aircraft already, they are already handling more information. We know METAR, so how the atmosphere is behaving in terms of pressure. We know we have forecast on winds, so we can do good calculations on that. We have additional information on passengers, so we can calculate the fuel to be loaded. We know the operational runways in place, so we are going to select also standard instrumental departure, standard arrival. We can calculate in a more efficient or a more accurate manner flight times, and so on and so forth. So again, this information is going to be very, very relevant to the flow management units, right? The repetitive flight plan, it is relevant, but the file flight plan is also relevant. And then we have the so-called current flight plan, which is it's the flight plan including modifications, right? So this is already while flying, and we might agree modifications on the flight plan, and this is called current flight plan, which includes any eventual modification to the flight plan, and it may be useful for post-operational analysis, right? What happened, why we did that, why we didn't anticipate it, we didn't anticipate this modification or this thunderstorm or whatever, right? So as you see, these three types of flight plan follow somehow of this is time, a temporal line, right? The repetitive flight plan can be sent 2, 3, 4 months before the takeoff time or estimated upload time. The file flight plan is filed 1 hour before departure, and the current flight plan is something we are updating during the flight. Okay, now, so the next question here is, who has to present a flight plan before departure? Well, I mean, first, any flight requiring ATC service, right? So control service, the traffic control service. Any flight, any or instrumental flying rule flight, except those that go through Gulf classes of airspace, which is uncontrolled airspace. So if your flight is IFR and you are expecting or intending to fly through different volumes of airspace, except for Gulf, you must present a flight plan to the authority. Then, what else? Any flight, instrumental or visual, requesting flying information service, alert service, or search and rescue. So if you want to have these services, then you must present a flight plan in order for someone to track your evolution. And finally, any flight across international borders, right? So all those guys need to present a flight plan, which, as you might imagine, are most of, all the international airlines, all the commercial flights must present a flight plan, and many of the visual flying rule flights also they have to present flight plans due to, simply speaking, due to safety reasons, right? Now, where to present the flight plan? So the flight plan has to be presented to the ATS unit at the origin airport, right? And this is called ATS reporting office. ATS RO, right? This office will be in charge of distributing the flight plan to the different units that are going to be in charge of monitoring the evolution of the flight, doing the flow management duties, etc. We will see this later. Now, we already discussed about the content of the flight plan, right? And of course you have the call sign, the identificator, you have the origin airport, destination airport, the sequence of waypoint composing the route, the intended flight level, the intended speed, alternative airport, and so on and so forth. And who is to use the flight plan? Well, on the one hand, someone called network manager. We're going to be talking about this in our next video, right? This is a central unit in Europe in charge of receiving all flight plans and doing this capacity and demand balancing. Then, of course, flight dispatchers and the crew, because before filing the flight plan, they have to calculate the amount of fuel to be loaded, and this is important for safety reasons, but also for efficiency reasons. The crew is going to insert in the flight management system, in the computer on board aircraft, the route, the seat, the start, the origin airport, destination airport, flight level, speed, and a bunch of things. So the crew, the captain, and the officer, they need to have that information. And then, so we have dispatchers, the crew, and air traffic controllers, right? They need to have also the information of the intentions to actually track the evolution of the flight. And you should know that producing an efficient flight plan is very important in terms of cost and money. We can save a lot of money simply by choosing the most efficient route, the most efficient altitude, the most efficient cruising speed, and so on and so forth. Thanks for your time.